Sometimes people think that they have a pleasure problem, when really what's happening is their nervous system doesn't feel safe enough to fully open. Because when intimacy becomes connected to pressure, to performance, to comparison, to shame, to anxiety, the body can begin to start protecting instead of receiving. And so many people start to quietly carry this question with them. What is wrong with me? Why can't I relax? Why do I feel disconnected? Why does intimacy suddenly feel pressured instead of natural? Because pleasure is not something that we can force ourselves into. And today, I want to talk about why pleasure can sometimes become blocked through the lens of the nervous system, shame, emotional safety, and self-connection. Hi there. If we've never met, my name is Raquel Perez, and I am a licensed therapist here in the state of Colorado. I specialize in relational healing, emotional intimacy, and the connectedness we have with ourselves. One thing that I hear so often in the therapy room is this pressure that people carry around intimacy. Pressure to feel more, pressure to want it more, pressure to perform, pressure to get it right. And then there's comparison. Things like, I feel like other couples are having more sex. What is the right amount? Do I want it too much? Or am I not wanting it enough? And the truth is, there is no universal right amount. We are all different humans with different nervous systems and histories and desires and capacity and needs. But what happens is we start comparing ourselves to external universal standards like social media, movies, porn, other relationships, and slowly intimacy can stop feeling like connection and start feeling like an evaluation, like something that we're supposed to succeed at. And when that happens, many people begin disconnecting from intimacy even when there's a genuine desire for closeness. Anxiety can start showing up in the body in questions like, am I doing this right? Am I enough? Am I responding in the correct way? And then comes the thought that so often follows it. What is wrong with me? And that question itself creates more pressure, more anxiety, more disconnection. So we get stuck in a loop because pleasure is not something that we can force ourselves into. Your nervous system cannot fully open to pleasure while it's trying to protect you. And this is where understanding the nervous system can become incredibly important. Our nervous systems are always quietly operating in the background. It is constantly scanning. Am I safe? Am I accepted? Am I at risk? Do I need to protect myself? And oftentimes, this is happening outside of our conscious awareness. You see, because our lived experiences become histories inside of us. The body remembers painful experiences like rejection, shame, criticism, pleasure, fear, disconnection. And later, the nervous system references those experiences to determine how much openness feels safe. Sometimes this process is obvious to us, but often it isn't. Sometimes all we notice is the anxiety, the tightness, the disconnection, numbness, or difficulty accessing pleasure at all. And what's important to understand is that these responses are not random. They are protective. If the body perceives intimacy as emotionally risky at all, the nervous system may move more into hypervigilance than openness. The body begins focusing on monitoring, vigilance, and bracing. And then sometimes the strategy becomes numbness or shutting down. Not because something is wrong with you, but because your body learned that protection was necessary. Your body is trying to protect you in the best way it knows how, based off of your lived experiences. And layered into all of this is shame. And shame is powerful because it pulls us out of our body and into monitoring. And then instead of experiencing ourselves, we're watching ourselves, analyzing ourselves, judging ourselves, correcting ourselves. And shame can come from so many places. Religious shame, body shame, relationship wounds, messages we absorbed growing up, cultural expectations, social media, porn, comparison culture. We begin to learn what bodies are supposed to look like, what desire is supposed to feel like, how often intimacy is supposed to happen. And slowly, these external messages become internalized. And the body begins carrying all of these shoulds. I should feel differently. I should want more. I should want less. I should be more confident. I should be more comfortable. And over time, our internal voice becomes harder to hear over all the noise because shame disconnects us from ourselves. And when we become disconnected from ourselves, pleasure becomes more difficult to access. But here is something important. Pleasure often grows in areas where pressure can start to soften. And from my perspective, self-exploration and self-discovery become very difficult without emotional safety. So how does the softening begin? Often by just slowing down, by creating enough space for the body to actually be heard. And instead of judging ourselves immediately for how we're showing up, we begin to become curious in saying things like, what is happening in my body right now? What sensations am I noticing right now? Maybe you're noticing tightness in your chest, or heaviness in your stomach, or pressure in your throat. Our bodies are so wise. They are constantly communicating our internal experiences. And when we bring awareness to those internal cues, instead of trying to override them, we begin reconnecting with ourselves. We start learning our own body's cues, not as problems to fix, but as information. And this is where self-compassion becomes so incredibly important, because healing often begins when we stop fighting ourselves long enough to listen. And emotional safety can also grow inside of relationships. Sometimes simply verbalizing what is happening internally can help the nervous system start to regulate. Saying, I feel anxious. I feel pressure. I feel disconnected. I need to slow down. Our bodies are often seeking to be heard, to be seen, to be honored. So if pleasure has felt difficult, numb, disconnected, or pressured, I want you to know that there is nothing wrong with you. Your body makes sense. Your nervous system learned how to protect you based off of what you have lived through. And healing, it is possible. Not through forcing it, not through shaming it, not through pressuring yourself to feel differently, but through safety, presence, curiosity, compassion, and connection. And through rebuilding trust with yourself, because pleasure is not simply physical. It is deeply connected to whether the body feels safe enough to open. It is deeply connected to whether or not the body feels safe enough to soften. And that softening often begins with learning how to meet yourself with gentleness instead of judgment. If this resonated with you, I hope that this video reminded you that you are not alone in this experience. There is nothing broken with a nervous system that is trying to protect you. And healing often begins when we stop asking the question, what is wrong with me? And instead start asking, what has my body been trying to communicate all along? If you found yourself resonating with this conversation, I've also created a meditation called Resting Without Earning It, because often the pressure that we carry into intimacy is the same pressure that we carry within ourselves. The pressure to perform, the pressure to prove, the pressure to push through, the pressure to earn softness before we can receive it. And this meditation is designed to help you slow down, reconnect with your body, and gently explore rest, worthiness, and the nervous system through a lens of compassion. And if you're looking for some additional support, I also linked a few free resources down below in the description. My free booklet called Sacred Spaces, Creating Insight for Safety, which allows you to create the environment, both physical and emotional, for introspection and insight to rise. And a worksheet that goes along with this series to help you explore in a safe way your own relationship with pleasure. And truly, thank you for being here. Thank you for allowing me into this space with you. I know these conversations can feel deeply vulnerable and very personal. I never take it lightly that you choose to spend your time here with me. I hope that something in this conversation helped you feel a little bit more seen, a little bit more compassionate with yourself, and a little less alone. Well, my friend, that is all I have for this video. Until next time, bye for now.